Waiting for
a couple more minutes.
We just started the live feed.
Yeah, couple more minutes.
Yep.
Till 8 o'clock. Go back to that.
You want the board? You want the board docs?
Yeah.
Stand by, everyone. We're gonna go live.
Good evening. It is 8 o'clock on Sunday, June 6th. This is an emergency special meeting of the Fairport Central School District Board of Education. For those of you who are in the room, in case the fire alarm should go off, we have 4 exits. Please evacuate as needed. Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order. There are 6 of us in the room, and Dr. Mary Caitlin White is broadcasting via Zoom. She is on the screen, as you can see. So I'd like to have an approval of the agenda. Someone like to approve the agenda, please? Marty, second. Damon? All in favor of that? Aye. Brings us down to appointment of acting clerk treasurer, and I've asked Damon to do that for us, and thank you for doing that. Board discussion action items. I need a motion for the Board of Education to discuss and amend policy 7515, mask and face coverings. Do I hear a motion, please? Erica, thank you. And second, Marty. And Brett, if you want to lead us through how we're going to make some changes here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, board, for being here on moment's notice. I know that was challenging to coordinate all of our calendars, but in essence, I think that was, this is the appropriate time because as of 1:43 this afternoon, the State Education Department shared specific information to seek clarification from Dr. Zucker's letter to the CDC on Friday. That was unexpected, that letter to the CDC. Communication leadership by press conference, that seems to be, the best mode for this this leadership. Again, Dr. Zucker asked the CDC for clarification on a number of different items, being, indoors masking, what should be done in masking. Mask use will strongly be encouraged but not required for students. And again, the CDC was given until Monday to answer Dr. Zucker. And Dr. Zucker said if they don't receive any answer, that they would go forward and say mask use will be strongly encouraged but not required for students, campers, and staff and teachers and counselors who are not fully vaccinated. Outdoors as well, masks are not required for students, campers, and staff, teachers, counselors who are not fully vaccinated are encouraged to wear a mask in certain high-risk circumstances. Again, this was a letter from Dr. Zucker to the CDC, both indoors and outdoors. Students, campers, and staff who are fully vaccinated do not need to wear masks. Schools and camps may choose to implement stricter standards. This was interpreted as guidance. There was no change. This was simply an inquiry to the CDC. And I just wanted to, give the board a moment to react to that piece, because in the news media, it was taken as fact that this was definitely a requirement now. And in fact, Dr. Zucker was just asking for clarity. And he said, if we don't receive this clarity, this is what we're going to intend.
Right. So just to clarify, I mean, it's on. It wasn't direction as of immediate action, but it was, this is our intention as of Monday, tomorrow. If we don't hear back on a scientific or medical reason to not do this, this is what we're doing. So it is coming tomorrow unless the CDC comes and says you shouldn't do it.
Again, that was the intent. How it was interpreted by the media,
Understood.
by community members,
Right.
it was a fact,
Yep.
understandably.
It's not policy right now, but it's strong, pretty strong wording that the DOH is going to make those recommendations on Monday.
If the
unless
CDC, right. So again, we were trying to get clarity this whole weekend, trying to talk to different people at the state level. SED this afternoon,
Right, when you say we
being Monroe County superintendents, legal teams, trying to reach out to legislators, government, the governor's office, just trying to seek clarification. No response from Monroe County Department of Health, no response from the governor's office as well. Right? There were legal teams trying to connect with the governor's office, and there wasn't much communication coming back. Right? However,
no, CDC hasn't responded either to the letter.
correct. CDC has not responded. And again, I don't know if Dr. Zucker really thought that the CDC was going to respond on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday on the weekend, right? Again, I'm not sure the motivation behind that. But at the end of the day, that's what we were all given. This afternoon, we received a memo from the State Education Department that pretty much clarified that, hey, this was just a question. This was a letter of inquiry. Nothing has changed for schools. This was coming from the executive staff, right? So the State Education Department eventually got a hold of the executive staff, which means the governor's office, right? The intent of the letter was to obtain a response from the CDC regarding differing standards for summer camps and schools. It has not changed any existing arrangements. That's what we learned today at 1:43. Therefore, again, this is verbatim, and I have this letter, and I'll be sharing this letter with the community. Schools should continue to operate under their existing procedures until further notice. This is right from the memo that we received this afternoon at 1:43.
However, However,
Yeah, I'll give you a chance to react to that. Right. Does the board want to react to that piece?
It was pretty clear what they said. I think that however is a big, you know, is a big part of our discussion now. But I think that the SED's intention in that letter, when you forwarded that to us, it was pretty clear what they were saying.
Put schools in an untenable situation, actually.
and parents and
Yep.
communities
Yep.
and everybody.
100% correct.
So-
So we had already made adjustments to outside situations because of the heat.
Oh, yeah.
That no, the kids and teachers don't have to wear masks outside for like PE or field days. So that was one step.
Yep.
Did say that?
We were on the cusp of saying that and clarifying. Yes, that was Friday's
It was sent out.
communication.
Yep. It
Right.
was sent to families and then given the heat index for the next
Couple weeks,
couple
probably.
weeks. I was a teacher, so I taught little kids for a long time. And I just it is going to be significantly warm.
So we are not in any position, I am not in any position to go against the authority of the state education department.
Right.
I do know that in our state guidance, I believe it's on page 9, it speaks to us making decisions based upon the health and safety of our students. In extreme heat, our buildings are really hot, right? I mean, the second floor of this building, Minerva Deland, our elementary schools, you know, it makes a case to have students and staff remove their masks if they choose to when they are seated at desks or other locations such as the library or cafeteria as needed.
It's important to listen to the words that we chose.
Right? Because we have forecasted high temperatures and we know what it's like over the next several weeks. Our schools are not pitted with air conditioning in our learning environments for the most part. We know that we've received a lot of information from our community members over the past several weeks, and that's been a big part of the governor's and the State Department of Health guidance of, you know, making sure that you understand what your community interests are. And our infection rate continues to be minimal. It continues to be decreasing in Perrington, in Fairport, and the greater community. So I'm making a recommendation that students and staff can remove their masks if they choose to when they are seated at their desks or other locations such as the library and cafeteria as needed. Students and staff may choose to remove their masks when they're outdoors. If they're not affected by the heat though, students and staff should continue to wear their masks while moving freely throughout the building or on our district transportation.
And again, that's if they're not affected by the heat. We're not saying they have to, but if they're not affected by the heat, they should.
Can parents choose to say, I want my child to wear a mask?
If you continue to look at my recommendation, it speaks to, we respect our parents' right to choose here. They can, by all means, if they feel safe masking or safer masking, they can continue to do so.
We always could.
If we receive more information from the New York State Department of Health that it's explicit and contradicts any of this, we will communicate it accordingly.
What I would anticipate is that this is going to be a guideline that's going to last about 3 hours, because I think we're going to get further clarification. I mean, I think we thought that many times this year. We took a long time.
Sometimes
but-
it's taken 2 weeks for them
But
to
at
clarify.
the same time,
something.
I do think that there's significant political pressure around this entire topic that I anticipate we'll get further guidance sometime on Monday. But in lieu of that, I think this is a good place to be. And that is, you know, basically the only time you're required to wear a mask is walking the halls or on the bus.
If you're not affected by the heat.
If you're affected by the heat, again, and if, you know, if students are uncomfortable, staff are uncomfortable walking through the halls because it gets
Right.
um,
Right.
stifling up there.
Right. And so being practical and just talking, I mean, just being practical, I mean, there's no way for our staff to, interrogate children and say, are you comfortable? I mean, this is the way it is, right?
Mhm.
So in all practicality, we expect children to wear a mask when they're going from classroom to classroom, or whether they're on the bus. And then other than that, we're sort of trusting them and their parents to work out when they feel that they need to or not need to wear a mask.
What is the difference between getting clarification tomorrow from Department of Health versus having clarification today from SED? I mean, they were straightforward today, unlike the state that was around in circles.
I feel that we are consistent with the New York State Department of Health recommendations from this past year. On page 9 in their guidance document, they speak to this very thing. If there are situations that impact or that could jeopardize the health, safety, and welfare of our students and staff, make a decision. And given the temperature, the extreme heat, the buildings get extremely hot.
Yes, do some buses.
Steamy, yep, summer as well, yeah, buses as well. This would allow us to stay within the New York State Department of Health guidelines. We know that we will see kids and staff members still masked, and that's okay too,
Right.
right? It does
And-
it becomes subjective,
Right.
because 85 degrees to me versus 85 degrees to you could mean two different things. And, I think it speaks to what, Mr. Buffum was saying about, respecting individual rights there.
So if someone's parents say, I want you to wear your mask, because our youngest children are not vaccinated, even most of our teens are not fully vaccinated. Who is going to be responsible to know whose parents said you have to keep your mask on and making them and?
I
any
would
of
say
that
I would say that's between the parent and the child.
A second grader? A
Yeah.
first grader, a
Yeah.
kindergartner? So they say, wear your mask, and they take it off.
I
Okay.
you know,
And our
I
attorney
don't want to,
suspended?
I don't want to put any of our staff members in the
I don't
position
either.
of policing.
That's why
And
I'm
I think
I-
my concern was also like peer pressure and stuff. So I'm hoping that it is not made a huge deal. If kids want to wear masks, they wear masks. If they don't want to wear
I
their
would
masks,
hope,
they don't wear
we,
masks.
you know,
And that's why I just want it to end, like, if they're comfortable. And I'm hoping that parents, I've been having conversations with my kids. I have 3 kids. My daughter at the high school, we were talking with teachers and such outside at Canal Days, and they asked her, what do you feel comfortable? And she said, I feel like I'm going to wear a mask because I don't feel comfortable. My sons will not probably wear masks if they're too hot. So they're older, but
yeah, that's. the big difference.
we can't put teachers in that position.
No, I don't
I
want to.
wanna, I just want to piggyback on that. I don't think we should be asking that of our staff. I think this has to be a parent-child decision.
Mary
And,
Kate.
Go ahead.
oh, sorry, it's Dr.
No,
Wade.
go ahead, go ahead.
And just exactly what Erica said. I hope that all members of our community, our parents, are having a conversation tonight. If your kids are still up in the morning before school, that the decision you've made in your family, we respect the decision somebody else has made in their family. And we don't, mock a student for wearing one or not wearing one. We are respectful of each other and our decisions to keep, because we don't know what's going on in somebody's family, right? We don't know if there's a sick family member at home they're trying to protect. So I think that respectful nature, what Erica just highlighted, is key.
Well, and the expectations have to be, again, with families, that we support and accept whatever decision you've made with your children, but you can't expect our staff to mandate or to keep control of each individual child and whatever. I know many families that don't want their children to wear certain things to school, and their kids put it in their backpack and change when they leave.
No, they don't do
There
that
is
in
a
middle
social
school.
contract here, and there is a responsibility on all parties. And you will have to trust that parents are having that conversation. Now, I have the blessing to receive emails from many different sides. I really do. And as many people who are passionate about taking the mask off, there are individuals and families who are saying it's not ready to happen, right? And we're going to honor that. And that right to
That's right.
choose is their right.
Mhm.
So it's not going to be clean, but I do agree that we will honor and respect those who continue to want to wear a mask, and those who choose not to because of the heat index and because of their comfort level. We will trust that that's a family decision as well.
Mhm.
And if it's not, and we learn about it, we'll work with families like we do on other circumstances.
I just hope that, kids are smart. They hear what families are saying. I know mine do. And I know that probably there were quite a few families planning to send their kids without masks. And I don't want it, which is fine, but I don't want the kids who need to wear masks for maybe medical reasons or other things in their family to feel like they shouldn't be wearing them as well.
Right.
So that was
Yep.
a concern I had. So hopefully everybody will be respectful of those that do need to wear a mask, because there are many different reasons.
Mhm.
And if your family doesn't need to, then that's okay.
Just to
our-
clarify, we're talking K through 12.
Correct.
And the other thing I would just want to clarify is that in terms of the DOH and CDC letter, what I interpret that as is the DOH telling CDC, this is what we're going to be implementing on Monday unless we hear back from you.
Right now, it could be Wednesday by the time
Yeah.
they hear back, or it could be
Well,
never too.
But I think what they said was, and I think that we have to understand that as well as a board. I mean, we can sit here and wait for this to be clarified and
Right.
just wait and wait and
No,
wait. And we've done
we're
that
not waiting.
before. It'll take weeks, right? They came out and said, this is what we're doing on Monday unless we hear back, right? So I think we need to make the
Mhm.
decision.
We can't make any sense of what the New York State Department of Health and the governor has done, because they put us in a situation, in our community in a situation, and our students and families in a situation where we need to make a local decision. And the local decision is important. And this allows us to keep the guidance because we're still following the guidance. Because again, on page 9 of that guidance, it speaks to this unique circumstance. And we are heading into the last couple of weeks when we do know what happens in our schools.
But I also want to just comment, Brett, that on that guidance, and I'm not sure what page it was, it said masking is required. And this was in terms of bringing all the kids back at one time. And they said that you have to we needed to show that we're making best effort to keep kids distant, right? And so I think when they're sitting down at a desk and they're 3 feet apart, I think we are making adequate steps to keep kids socially
And in the high
distant.
school,
You
they're
gotta-
not all bad.
yeah, the high school is still half,
They're
right?
still
Yeah.
half.
Right,
Yeah.
even though, they are bigger, they are halved, and it will be challenging at times because of the spaces, but I know they'll make the right decisions. Our instructors will make good decisions to keep them spaced to the greatest extent possible in all of our buildings.
I think
And
one thing I wanted to
Yeah, Mary Caitlin.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to share is I appreciate all of our community members reaching out. Just like Mr. Provenzano said, there were so many emails and so much information and experiences shared this weekend. I think a lot of us tried to respond as best we could to each of them, but with the biggest thing I think we can be unified as a community right now about is the frustration with this, right? Like every side, every person is just so frustrated and angry with the executive branch and this letter going out on a Friday afternoon with no information, no way for us to make sense of this. And then for state ed to send this out Sunday afternoon saying, no, don't change anything. I'm just really proud of us as a board, and Mr. Provenzano, I appreciate your guidance in this, in saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and make the best decision for our community. I'm very appreciative. And I know I'm not out of town, so it's been a little tricky, but thank you.
I need to continue to put the caveat in, if we receive otherwise, if the CDC responds to the Department of Health and the Department of Health then in turns, gives an explicit directive, then we will be back to the table. I'm not saying what will happen. I'm just saying we will be back to the table. We'll be obligated to continue forth.
That's a good thing we're meeting tomorrow night.
Good
Any
point.
other comments from board members?
I just want to say.
Excuse me, sir, this is our meeting. This is our meeting.
would like-
Excuse me, sir.
I would like to
Excuse me,
know-
sir.
I would like to know
Joyce?
Children were
if
never at risk.
the
You're playing
attorney has
politics.
given
You
you
work for
clearance
us.
to
You're all
do this.
rude as hell.
Have
You
we
need
done
to
that?
remember
sorry?
who the hell you work
I'd like
for.
to
Stop
know
playing
if
games.
the
I gotta go to
attorney
Greece.
has
I gotta go to
given you
Pittsburgh. I gotta go
clearance.
Until he
Get
stopped.
And you guys need to understand what the hell is
Do
going on.
we
You
need to
gotta stop
go to
playing
executive
games.
session to have a discussion in private, in
Well, this is our meeting.
Civil?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
This
a meeting
not
in the
your
public.
This
meeting. This
is.
our meeting. You need to stop playing games, ignoring us, deleting us from the audience, and being disrespectful.
So are there any other
I
board comments?
just wanted, yes, I have a question
Okay.
that I've been trying to get out. I know what I'm saying isn't popular, but I still have a right to say it. Has the attorney given you clearance, and I wish we had it in writing for changing a policy, but has she given you clearance that it is okay, given that the SED was clear? I understand the state is very gray and it's, you could interpret it a million ways, but SED was clear. The attorney has the attorney said to you, it's fine to disregard that statement today and go forward?
We are not disregarding the statement. Right?
Well, we are
still-
making changes.
we are
and it
still-
said
we're-
Don't make a
We're still
change.
working in the framework of the New York State Department of Health guidance.
It says don't make a
And,
change.
and what we have here works and is defendable. Anything could happen. There are no slam dunks, but at the same time, we know that we're working with the New York State Department of Health guidance. Confirmed.
I think the variable that's changed is the weather, right?
Mhm.
And it's really, really hot.
This is a health issue, in my opinion. So we
Right.
can do
So
that.
I think
Are we gonna
we're
have-
adapting to what the weather says. And I think we're working within the framework of what they gave us. And the fact is that the health concerns of children from a heat perspective now is outweighing the health concerns regarding COVID. So
Any other comments?
Can I ask, Mr. Provenzano, have you heard from other school districts in Monroe County? Is what we are going forward with the standard? Is this aligned with our colleagues?
Every community is different. Every community has different expectations. I can't speak to all the other communities. There are some that are similar to us, and then there are some that are doing a completely different approach based upon what's happening in their community.
Thank you.
but I think that we have heard specifically from some districts that are very similar to what we're doing. Is that correct?
Marty?
Correct.
I just wanted to thank you, Brett, for the hours that you've put in since this all began on Friday, for keeping us apprised of everything as it continued to change, for working with the county and with the other districts and with the state, because this is really a work in progress. I'm sure that it's going to continue to change. So I just really appreciate that. I want to say that we know that you're on top of it, that you're going to handle it. And thank you for the advice that you've given us. I feel comfortable with the direction we're going in.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'd like to take a vote on the motion. All in favor? Aye. Mary Caitlin, is that an aye for you?
Yes.
Okay, opposed? All right, so that passes 7-0 to make those changes. Any other items? That brings us to the end of our meeting, so I'd like a motion to adjourn the meeting. Erica, second Marty. All in favor? Aye, thank you. Thank you for attending and thank you for your support and thank you for collaborating. Good night.